first things first, I'm going to start making the tomato sauce because it's going to take a while to cook, and these meats need to braise down and shred up in the sauce. So I'm going to get this on first and then start preparing everything else, because that stuff can just hang out. This is important. I got this on like a medium high heat, and I'm going to sear these short ribs. I've done oxtails before, that really works well. I love oxtail ragu. You could use hamburger meat, you could really use any kind of meat. Usually I use a mixture of pork, sausage, and oxtail or short rib, but this time I might just have Italian sausage and short ribs. And what I'm doing is I'm going to sear these in order to get the fond, get the brown stuff on the bottom of the pan that's going to add a lot of flavor to the tomato sauce. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going for, deep brown. So this is some hot Italian sausage going in. Onions, peppers, and mushrooms going in to deglaze the bottom of the pan. Now I like adding a lot of mushrooms to mine. It gives it, you know, a really good umami taste. It gives it body too. And I kind of think of it as like another meat. All right, so all the water's cooked out. Basically, it's starting to stick on the bottom. I'm gonna add a little bit of oregano and a bay leaf. And I'm gonna add the Rayo's marinara sauce in. I'm gonna go wash out the jar with like a cup of water too. Add that in. And you want this thinner than you think. You don't want it to look like marinara sauce right now, because this is gonna be the braising liquid for our meat. I'm gonna add a little bit more chili flake too. I should have added this earlier, but just a little bit. So we do have hot Italian sauces, so we don't need too much. Add the short ribs in. Add in the sausage as well. And we'll be able to skim any fat off the top too later. So don't worry, if it looks a little greasy, it'll be fine. So I'm gonna let this come back up to a simmer. I'm gonna cover it. And I'm gonna let this cook until the short ribs shred apart, so it'll probably take a couple hours. So this is gonna be like the Sunday gravy, I guess, if you're an Italian American, which I am not. I like to cover it, but leave a little bit of space so it can evaporate, because we want this to thicken up, but we don't want it to burn. So I'm gonna check on this in about an hour, and I'm gonna keep checking on it every hour until the meat's done. All right guys, in a bowl, 6 ounces of cream cheese. And I soften this up a little bit, but just and you guys are thinking it's a little weird to have cream cheese and lasagna. Just trust me, guys. It's really good. And I'm gonna do about half of a 30-ounce container, so 15 ounces of ricotta cheese. I'm gonna add 1 egg. I like to get the egg incorporated before I add my last ingredients. Green onions. This is not traditional either. This is just something I do. None of this is traditional. This is the most untraditional lasagna in the world. There's probably Italians out there crying. I think the green onions give a good flavor. And then I have this pecorino romano. So I'm gonna add a quarter cup maybe. Pecorino romano. I'm gonna add a good amount of black pepper. Cover this, fridge. Okay, these are like a 1/16 inch. I'm cutting these on my mandolin. Hopefully I don't cut my fingers off. Then I'm gonna transfer them to a baking sheet with some paper towels and salt them to get the moisture out. That's what we wanna do, is we wanna get the moisture out of here. The key to a successful zucchini noodle lasagna is the least amount of moisture. Otherwise you're gonna end up with a watery, soggy mess. So I'm gonna lay a little bit of salt down on this paper towel, and I'm going to start layering these zucchini noodles. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of salt, like a half teaspoon or a quarter teaspoon of salt, probably a half teaspoon. Salt those, add another layer of paper towel, more salt, and just keep repeating this. You can alternate, doesn't really matter. We just want all the zucchini to get in contact with the salt. And this is another reason why we don't want to salt any of their other components, because this is gonna add a lot of salt. And we're gonna rinse off the salt at the end, but it's still gonna be really salty. Now I'm gonna put another baking sheet on top of here and just weigh it down with something. Let this sit off to the side, and we'll wait for the food to be cooked. We'll let this sweat out its salt, and we'll be good to go. One time, it was Christmas Eve, and I was making Cheddar Bay biscuits, and I'd been drinking, and I cut my thumb so bad on this. And then the next day, I was all hungover and had to go over to my parents' house to open presents, and I hadn't wrapped any presents, obviously. So I had to try to wrap presents with like a gouged thumb, and it was like impossible. So that was a good story. All right, so this has been cooking for 3 hours. It's almost done. I'm just going to chop up some of this short rib meat. You could let it go for even longer, but I don't have enough time, so I'm just gonna chop this up. Let that thicken up. Probably only take like a few more minutes, and then I'm gonna take it off and start assembling the lasagna. Okay, I'm gonna assemble the lasagna now. One thing to remember is you wanna split your sauce into thirds. You split your ricotta in half, and that's gonna help you proportion everything out, right? So you get an even amount. Start off with a third of your sauce on the bottom. Now a layer of noodles. And when I'm building this, just like regular lasagna, I like to alternate the directions that I put the noodles. Now I'm gonna do half the ricotta mixture. So I just put it in my hand. Spread that out. And 1/3 of the cheese. And put the last bit of cheese on top. Cover this with aluminum foil. It's gonna go in a 375-degree oven for about 30 minutes. And then we're gonna uncover it and let it cook the rest of the way. So good. All right, it's done. It's time to cut. I let this rest for a couple minutes. You could probably let it rest for longer, but we're really hungry, so fit to eat. And this baked in the oven 40 minutes covered, and then the rest of the time until it's golden brown like this on top, uncovered. Now it is going to be a little bit watery in the dish, but it's just something you're gonna have to take a dainty little bite. Tastes like lasagna. It's lasagna.